Hey, Seattle Andrew here, and I'm going to show you Android emulators and how to set up your retro experience. So, you may have gotten some of the apps that I had shown you, like SNesoid or Game Boy or any of those other OID types that are made by Yongs. And I'm going to give you a quick little tutorial on how to get that set up so you can start gaming like I have on devices like the Xperia Play or any other Android handset. So, let's first take a look at the steps. So we're going to obtain an emulator, such as SNesoid, and then we need to download a BIOS for the game. Now, the only two that I've seen that actually need it are the GBA version, which is Game Boy, or the PSX one, which is like PSX4 Droid, which is made by Zoted, I think. So if you're using either of those emulators, then you'll need to download the BIOS for that. And you can do some research on it. It typically tells you what the BIOS file is called that you need to get, but you need to get that. And then you need to download the game file, or otherwise known as a ROM. So emulators play ROMs, which are the files that are the games. ROM being read-only memory. So the game file is a readable file. You can't write to it, but you save your game by saving it as a different file that the emulator reads. So there we go. We got all that technical stuff out of the way. Then you need to open the appropriate emulator app. We're going to select the file, and then we're going to customize the controls so it reflects the Xperia Play's fancy little controller. So that way you'll have an emulator experience like the one that I've shown you. So let's do a quick tutorial. So first, you'll want to open up your browser. If I can find mine. And we're just going to go to Slide Me. So literally, that's all I'm putting is Slide Me. Google searching. And first thing right up here, this is it. And if you can see, Yongs' stuff is pretty popular on Slide Me. So you could just go right to SNesoid right now. I'll load it all up. And then you'll download the emulator. So when we go here, if it eventually gets there, let's sigh. You'll go through Slide Me, and if it costs for the apps, so if you miss the free period that the apps are available, then you can just sign up for an account, use your credit card, and you can pay for it. But I think right now it's free, so you just click download, and that's going to go straight to your Android and download on the SD card. Or your internal memory if you don't have an SD card but have space on the phone. So, we have obtained an emulator. Next, we're going to download a BIOS. We don't really need to do that since I'm going to be showing off SNesoid and how to get that set up. Then we're going to download a ROM. So there's two ways that you can do it. Your Android has a pretty awesome browser, and you could do this on the phone itself, but you can also do it on the computer. I'm going to show it on the computer just for ease sake, as well as for time. So I'm going to open up a browser, bam, and I'm going to one of my favorite emulator sites, which you can find emulators and ROMs. So we're finding something for the Super Nintendo. So we need to go over, so this is Emu Paradise, and over on the side here, we're going to find ROMs, ISOs, and games. ISOs are disk files, much like ROMs are for like cartridge games. ISOs are for like basically anything, any console that uses a CD, like a Sega CD or a PlayStation. So now that we're here, over here in the console section, we're going to download a Super Nintendo game, and since it's in alphabetical order, we're going to go here. Now, they have the top download section, which are like the most popular ROMs, and then also the letters for ROMs. And we're going to download, let's do Chrono Trigger. I've actually never played that game before. Can you believe it? So, Chrono Trigger, and you could download this if you rightfully own it, of course, and that's legal. So actually, maybe we shouldn't do that one. Let's download something I do own. Let's download Super Mario RPG. So I actually do own this one. This is one of my favorite Super Nintendo games. So there's, in almost every single ROM site, there's going to be a mirror section or a download link section. So we'll click on this one. Yep, that's fine. Always ads. You got to be really careful on what you actually do. But so enter the code to download your file. This is actually not something fishy. It's just an ad CAPTCHA. Oh, I have to say freestyle cruising. Okay, and then I will click here. Now, it's downloading. Oh, bam, we're done. Okay, that's the first step. Next, you should have a USB cord connected to your computer. You will plug it in, and on your Android phone, you'll pop this up. Not the clock. That's something else that I have set up. So there's going to be this USB connected message. This is another hint. So we're going to click on this, and this is going to get us over to that message that we just saw. So this little green Android, he just says that the Android phone right now is connected, but we want to turn on the USB storage, meaning that the SD card and the internal storage on this device will now connect to the computer like it were like a thumb drive or an external hard drive. It's going to connect like that. So then our computer will be able to read the Android phone. So then up here pops up a message. Now this is how it is in Windows. In Mac, in OS X, it's gonna pop up a little hard drive symbol, like a thumbstick, and then you can navigate it through that way. So we're gonna open folder to view files, and so I have a ton of crap in here. What I would recommend is that you right click anywhere in there. You're going to go to New, Folder, and we want to call this SNES ROMs or something like that. You don't have to do that, but it makes it super easy, especially when you want to have all of your SNES stuff in one place. So this way you have your Super Nintendo in here. Now over in Chrome, I'm hitting Show in Folder for the file, so then I have it here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this zip, even in a zip archive, and that's one of the reasons why I like Yong's emulators, is that they can read through zips. We're just pasting it in here. So now this is on removable disk, which is the SD card. So it's on the SD card, on the phone, and in this folder called SNES ROMs. And here is Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. So let's say that I put all the ROMs that I own in there, then I'm done. So what I'm going to do is 2 steps. To make sure that everything's safe, we're going to go down here to the bottom right hand corner. We're going to right click or left click, I never remember which one it is, and we're going to eject that drive. So now that everything's safe, we've got that taken care of. Over on the phone, we're going to hit turn off USB storage, and we can unplug this if we want. We've taken care of everything. So now on this, we have our wonderful little ROM that we downloaded from the site. So now we're going to go over to SNesoid. Where is it? Just run my fingers over it. I must have missed it. Oh, it's right there. So we'll go to SNesoid. We'll go to SNesoid. Okay. No wonder. Close. Okay. So now this is my file directory, but when you first start up, it's going to ask you, like, where do you want to go? So you click that symbol, and that will get you to the root of the SD card. That will get you up a directory. So since we loaded it onto our SD card, we know that we're going to be over at SD card. Then we call that folder SNES ROMs. Well, look, there it is. So we'll click on it, and in this folder, we have this. We tap on it. And it starts. And so this is going to be the game that you'll want to play on your handset. Now this is wonderful and all, but what if you have a phone like the Xperia Play and you want to use the controls that come with the device rather than, say, touchscreen controls? What we're going to do is we're going to hit Menu, and then we're going to customize the controls via settings. So we'll hit Settings, and we're going to go to Input Settings, and by default it's going to have the virtual keypad on. If you don't want the keypad obstructing the screen, you can turn that off. And instead we're going to click on Key Mappings. Then we're going to go through this list of controls and we're going to make them correspond to buttons on here. So up, down, left, right, they say D-pad up, D-pad down, D-pad left, D-pad right. This here, that is the D-pad that Android has by default. And then the X button is D-pad center, and the circle one is the back button. The square, the triangle, the right and left, the select and start are unknown buttons to the Android operating system, but it still recognizes them as buttons. So what we'll do is up, down, left, right are already set. Select, we'll click on it and we'll say, well, let's do select, and click on start, press a hardware key, we'll hit start. So those buttons are good. Button A, on an Super Nintendo, I believe it's A, B, Y, X. So we'll want A down here, B, X is the top one for the triangle, and Y is that one. Trigger left, that button. Trigger right, that button. And we don't need to enable the rest of this unless you want to. Pad 2 being a second controller. You'd be really hard pressed, but you could do it. Like, you could have someone playing a game on this side and another person playing a game on this side. It'd be weird, but you know what? You can do it. You can set it up that way. And when you do that, you can return back to your game. You can use all the buttons. And you can select through everything. Yep. So this is how to get an emulator set up on your Android phone. This specifically is an Xperia Play, and I just walked you through these steps: how to obtain an emulator, how to download a ROM, which is a game file, how to open up the appropriate emulator app and select the file, and also how to customize the controls to reflect something like the Xperia Play where you can play on the device. Now, on other devices, like I used to have a Motorola Droid, you can use a game gripper, which is an overlay that goes over your keypad, and you can still do the same setup, but it's going to pick letters like on the keyboard, as well as you could use things like the camera button or the volume controls also as functions. Anyways, I'm Seattle Andrew, and thanks for watching.